Hello, friends. Welcome to the Champions Mojo podcast, where we celebrate the extraordinary stories of adult athletes who inspire us with their passion, comebacks, and stories we can all relate to. Today's guest is incredibly special to me, not just because of her impressive swimming accomplishments, but because I had the privilege of coaching her at the University of South Carolina. Yes, I'm talking about Sara Dunn, a state, national, and world record breaker in U.S. master swimming. She's also a national champion and an All-American, and one of the fiercest competitors and tremendous inspirations to me and others. Sara grew up in Beaver Creek, Ohio, and I knew her as Sara Henninger. She dove into Summer League at age 8 and never looked back. Her early talent and work ethic took her to the Ohio State High School Championships 3 times, 5 trips to YMCA Nationals, and ultimately into her high school's Hall of Fame. At the University of South Carolina, she became a 4-time NCAA All-American, landed on the SEC Academic Honor Roll, and was named Female Student Athlete of the Year in 1995. As her coach, I got to witness firsthand her incredible drive, leadership, and heart in and out of the pool. After college, Sara stepped away from swimming, but life had other plans. In 2015, an injury and a persistent friend led her back to the water. She joined Swim Mac Masters and found a new kind of team, one that felt like a family. Since then, she's shattered records, embraced the master swimming lifestyle, and stepped up as a leader in the sport, recently becoming the chair of the North Carolina Master Swimming. Sara's story is one of lifelong passion, comeback strength, and giving back. I'm so proud of the swimmer and woman she is today. Sara, welcome to Champions Mojo.
Oh, thank you, Kelly. That's so kind.
Well, you and I have a history, so it's really great to catch up with you. And so even though we see each other, let's say infrequently, but enough to have stayed in touch over the years at Masters meets, tell me the story of what life had other plans. Like, what was the injury and what brought you back to swimming in 2015? I don't even know that story.
Okay, so it started out, everybody's working out. I was working out at the gym, running, doing strength training, and I was working out with one of my friends one morning at the Y and was doing step-ups on the box and came down and landed wrong on my ankle and it popped. And that was the end of any sort of land cardio for me. That was almost 10 years ago. Ended up going to the ER that morning. They weren't sure if it was a sprain or a break. Made it to work by 8:30. And 2 days later found out it was just a really bad strain. So got to wear everybody's favorite boot for about 6 weeks and then did the PT and then decided my friend's been really bugging me to start swimming again, and now seems like a good time as any. And I went to my first practice. Had I been told that my first practice was going to be long course, I probably would not have shown up. But here we were, long course practice in the middle of October, and I said, I'm here, I'm going to do it, and haven't looked back. So it's been great.
So at that point, you were out of the water probably like 20 years
20 years.
of like no swimming whatsoever.
I dabbled a little bit in 2004, but when I say a little bit, I mean a very little bit, like maybe 6 months.
So in
So,
looking at your master swimming record, I noticed that you came back in 2015 and
mhm.
you earned All-American honors, which for anybody that doesn't know what that is, that means the number one time in at least one event in the entire country. You have never missed earning a number one spot in your event or events since you came back in 2016. So almost 10 straight years.
Almost that streak's going to be broken this year, but that's okay. Life
Are
gets
you
in the way.
sure?
Oh yeah. Yes.
Okay, well, it was
100%.
a pretty long streak. I mean, that's pretty
Yeah.
impressive to come out of that. But it sounds like you were staying in shape in other
hmm
ways. You came back from injury. Do you have any
hmm
other comeback stories, just either in your life or in your swimming?
well, I'm currently on a comeback, I guess. I was out most of last year with a shoulder injury, which is how I know the All-American streak is broken. Um, so I've been working towards getting back into that. And then my mom passed away in March. So I've been taking some time away from the pool to deal with that. Um, but yeah, the pool is always has the pool has shown me lately that that is where I'm going to find my solace. So not just the water, but the friends who I'm surrounded with and who are like, "Hey, are you coming to practice today? We miss you." So yeah.
Yeah. That community for anyone in any sport or any coffee group or bowling group that, that
Mhm,
group that misses you when you don't
mhm,
show up is they say that's so essential to the health and well-being that we have in every area of our life and certainly as we get older.
mhm.
So, Sarah, I'm going to tell you a little story that I remember about you,
Oh
and
gosh.
I know the thing that I remember is what an incredible mindset you had, and I imagine you obviously still have it. But talking about mindset, when I was the coach there at South Carolina, any recruit that came to campus, I would have a one-on-one and learn a little bit more without the crowds of other team members around. And
Mhm,
one of the questions that I would ask, which was kind of a vetting question, was let's imagine that you are in the final of the NCAA championships and you're in the
mhm,
final heat, you're in the top 8 and you have a lane. You can imagine whatever lane you're in. What is going through your mind when you're there behind the blocks? And I recall what you said. Do you recall that question?
I don't recall, but I know what you have told me is what I said. I was going to win
Yeah, yeah.
everything I
So
could to
I
win. Mhm,
and what was so different about you with answering that question? And it was a pretty quick answer. It wasn't like you thought about, what does she want to hear? And the reason that I feel like it was very authentic and genuine was that you would be amazed at the number of recruits that came into that office and that answered that question with, "Oh my gosh, what am I doing in the final?" Or even something like, "Oh, I would never make the final of the NCAA." So where do you think that tough mindset came from?
I think I definitely got a lot of like can-do attitude and can-do positivity from my mom and dad. There wasn't anything that they ever held us back from trying. Of course, I was only ever good at one thing. Um, I also think that because I'm, as you know, a straight up brushstroker, I always had to work harder in practice to keep up with the normal grinded out yardage, freestyle, IM stuff. Um, so, and like you said, if you have a lane, you have a chance. And I've always believed that. My mom used to love to say, cheering for the Gamecocks is very difficult as a football team. And she was like, on any given Saturday, anything can happen. If you have a lane, anything can happen. Um, so, yeah, without having a lot of physical experience and physical background, like I didn't really lift weights until I went to college, is my mind was my best asset besides my physical ability to swim just breaststroke.
Yeah. Yeah. So, if you were to like look back on your entire life, what would you say that mindset that you have has helped you through some other stuff? Like how do you apply that to your life?
Mhm. Um, I'm thinking, I mean, first of all, first and foremost, it helped me get through a divorce, um, 3 years into a marriage that, d did not end well. And I was like, okay, this is where we are. Let's move on to the next. I spent some time. I had to move back in with my mom and dad when I was 30, which no 30-year-old wants to do.
Right.
But, I'm very fortunate that I was able to do that. And I was like, okay, next step, go get a job. Let's go get a job. And I got an interview with my current employer, and I've been there for 23 years. Um, and it's just, I started out in different positions in my company and I wanted to move up. So I was like, okay, what do I need to do to get the attention I need to move up? How can I help? What can I learn? And I feel like that's just always been my kind of mindset. Like I want to keep learning new things. Um, and because I know that's going to help me achieve my goals. So,
Want to make a real difference? The Health Coach Institute offers the Pathways program to become a certified health coach. You'll help others achieve lasting wellness, grow your own resilience and self mastery, and create meaningful lifelong change. I'm a proud graduate of the Health Coach Institute, and I highly recommend the program. Learn more at championsmojo.com/pathways. What would be something new that you've learned that you just never thought you would learn or
mm,
do?
I haven't actually learned, mastered it. I've spent a lot of time developing a new hobby, which is crocheting, which is very grandma, but very relaxing. Keeps my hands busy, keeps my mind busy. Um, so that I don't drift off into places of doom.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's great to know that somebody who has a tough mindset does have the ability to drift off into places of doom.
Yeah.
I mean, I find that that's kind of a commonality that, that really what makes a difference in somebody who succeeds and somebody who doesn't is we all can drift off to places of doom, right? I
Mhm.
mean, it's just
Mhm.
kind of, I think that's the way our minds are built to protect us from things. So, um, what are some of the things that besides crocheting, are there things that you say or things that you do that help you keep your mind on track?
Um, I have a couple of bracelets that I've made and wear. One says make good choices, just to remind me to choose the right things. And one says we don't do that anymore, or the initials WDDTA, just to remind myself, like, you used to do that. That was a bad thing. We don't do that anymore. So they're just kind of personal to me, like reminders that I like to wear on my wrist to, you know, keep my mindset right.
Oh my gosh, I
So,
love that. I think
yeah.
that's awesome. That
So,
is really, really great. I mean, making good choices is such a
mhm.
great thing. So, and it sounds like you are a big planner. You've planned your goals for your 23-year career. You wanted to
Mhm.
take this step, take that step, you said. Now, one of the things that you and I talked about a little bit before we started recording, not today, but on another day, um, we're recording this in late May, and you are already planning for the 2026 Spring Nationals, which is almost a year away.
Yes.
So, tell us, like, how you can focus on that. When you're this far out, walk us through that long-term training and how you're going to stay focused over the long haul.
Um, well, first of all, I'm recommitting to myself and, to my teammates because the meet is in Greensboro and we are going to bring a large contingent from North Carolina and from SwimMac. I'm recommitting to myself and to my teammates to get back on track with my workouts. That's first and foremost, and then start dialing in the nutrition. Um, there was a lot of emotional support eating the last couple months. So we're dialing that back. Um, and then just smaller goals like let's go to this meet, let's go to another meet. I haven't planned out the meets yet that I'm going to, but those are in the works. And then one of my favorite things to do is to put my goal times on my lock screen on my phone so that I'm always looking, you're always looking at your phone and you see those times, you're like, okay, this is why I need to do this. This is why I'm doing that. Um, and just kind of keep those in the forefront. I haven't, again, decided what those goals are going to be. Because I'm not moving up into a new age group or anything. And I think Erica set some really fast records in the 50 and the 100 breaststroke. Um, so these are going to be times just for myself, uh, things that I want to achieve. So yeah.
Yeah, I like that. And that's Erica Braun, who's been on the show. And we have Maria and I, when Maria was with me as a co-host, we always
Hmm.
kind of joked whenever we could say Erica Braun's name, we did. It's
Hmm.
just kind of a fun buzzword. So
Yeah.
it's great that you mentioned Erica. Yay.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's a real champion. So how do you define success in master swimming for you?
One of the things that I had to learn when I came back to master swimming, and it took me a while to figure this out, is I am honestly never going to be as fast as I was when I was in college, but I can be better than I was the day before. So every day at practice, I try to be better than I was the day before. So that's kind of how I define success. As far as my times go, I think I just need to, get a meet or two in since it's been a while. I mean, I did swim in March, but that was very emotional and very rough. Um, so I need to get a couple of meets in after I've been training for a little bit and then kind of go from there as to what my goals are going to be. Because I want to set a high but attainable goals. So
So the meet that was emotional, was that around the loss of your mom?
it was 3 weeks after she passed away. Hmm.
But you still swam in the meet?
I did. Um, there were a couple of reasons why I wanted to swim in that meet. First of all, it was um, practically our North Carolina board meeting where I was going to be elected into the chair position. So I thought it was important to be there for that. And I had entered the meet before my mom passed, and I know that she would have wanted me to swim. So one of the things my mom loved was watching me swim. Um, and she loved watching master swimming because, like, you could live stream nationals. And she'd always be like, "What heat and lane are you in? What heat and lane are you in?" And I'm like, "Okay, I'm in this heat and I'm in this lane." And remember, I'm wearing the red cap because not a lot of people wear red caps. And that was so she could see me when she was watching because, sometimes it gets to be a little flurry of activity in the pool. Um, so yeah, so I did it for her. So
Yeah, that's beautiful. And yeah, that is one of the great things about Masters Nationals is it does stream. So Sarah, the idea that yes, we've all had our faster days. What advice would you give to swimmers that think they're past their prime and they're hesitant to really return to competition because they know they're going to be slower?
I think you have to erase those times from your mind. It's more important to be realistic. It's remember that you're doing something now that's good for your body, that's good for your mind. You're going to have fun with your teammates. Um, and just consider these your new era of times. Like, okay, that was not my best college time, but or my best personal time, but this is my best master's time, and I'm really proud of that. So um, it can take a hot minute to get your mind wrapped around that, though. I understand. It took me a while. Like, why should I do this? I'm not going to be fast, but I'm not a fast 22-year-old Sarah, but I can be a fast 52-year-old Sarah.
Yeah, and I think that, once you kind of just let go of that and you
Mhm.
realize like masters running or other masters events that you're only competing against people your age, so it's
Mhm.
not like you're going to even be competing against any age 22 Sarah or Susan or Erica
Right.
or anybody. You're going to be competing against other women that are your age or other men
Mhm.
that are your age. And that I love the fact that masters just ranks everybody so you can
Mhm.
see, I thought I really sucked, but hey, I'm 20th out of 600 people who've ever swum in all of history. Like that,
Right.
master swimming has amazing stats. So
Mhm.
you
A
can see,
huge
yeah,
database.
huge database. Then when you compare those rankings, you age up and you're like, whoa, I went from being 40th in that top of my age group to being third in the next age
Right.
group. So
Right. Yeah,
So
master swimming, where aging up is a good thing.
yeah, that's one of the beauties of it. Sarah, what kind of rituals or routines do you think have helped you just be successful overall in life?
Ooh. Um, Paying attention to my body. I know that's not really a ritual or a routine, but it's just, if something hurts, I'm going to address it. Um, of course, getting enough sleep, which I have struggled with the last few years, but I've found a program now that's working for me that's helping me sleep better. I think honestly, just maintaining a routine, maintaining a schedule, no matter what it is. Like, I swim Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. I lift weights on Monday and Wednesday. Friday is my rest day. That is my routine. It works for me. Um, would I love to be one of those people who could, go swim in the morning and then come home and sit in a sauna or do a cold plunge or relax with my coffee outside while I journal? Yes, I would love that. That's not my life right now, but I'm making my life right now work for me. And I think that's part of it too. Like fitting your passions and your hobbies and your self-care, because let's face it, swimming is a form of self-care, exercising is a form of self-care, into your professional life is important for everyone to do. You can have excuses, but you can find your way around those excuses. Like there's probably 40 of us at least that get up in the morning to swim at 5:15, and that's just at my pool alone. I know there's people all over the country that do that. You can fit it in the pockets of your life if it's important to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you go to bed early?
I do.
Yeah, you're probably pretty exhausted and sleeping well.
Yeah.
So if you could go back to your college age self and give yourself one piece of advice, what would it be that you know now?
Don't stop swimming.
Oh, I love it.
Don't stop.
Wow. Darn it. Don't ever stop swimming.
Don't
Yeah,
stop. Don't stop. Mm-mm.
I preach that all the time. I've said this maybe 10 times now on this podcast, but I just hate it when the youngins post I'm retiring from swimming. I
Hmm.
just wish they'd say I'm pushing pause, I'm taking a
Hmm.
break,
Hmm.
I'm going to take some time off, but the idea that swimming is a lifelong sport, it's just
Hmm.
you just really I even feel like if what are your thoughts on this? That if somebody got out of college and they just, they were a good swimmer or even high school and they just swam literally once a week,
Hmm.
maybe twice a week. Just get in there, don't lose the feel for the water, just have fun, dolphin dive and get some, do a few things that it would go a long way. I mean, sure, take a month off, 2 months off, even 6 months off, but that if they just stayed in touch with the water a little bit, not to get burned out, that it would make a huge difference.
I agree. I agree. Don't take 20 years.
Yeah, don't take 20 years. I mean, I've even taken, um, I've probably only taken 2 or 3 years off per age group,
Hmm.
but those 2 or 3 years that I take off are so hard to come back from.
Hmm.
And this is the only age group I've ever swum all the years through the age group. So we'll see what happens. I've
That's
never,
cool.
ever, I only swim at the bottom of the age group and then I take like 3 years off.
I
So,
feel
so
like that's a trend.
yeah,
Like
it's
there's a
totally
few
been a
people that do that.
yeah, it's a total pattern with a lot of people.
Yes.
But I'm going to try it and see how, I'm going to, try to use my own advice and see how that works.
I mean, why not? What do you have
Yeah,
to lose?
right. Yeah, I just usually kind of just decide to do other things, but I'm going to try it. So, now, what 2 or 3 traits do you think that champions share?
Dedication, um, positivity, and a good work ethic,
Yeah.
and being coachable.
Yes, I would agree. Coachable is big. Do you get a lot of coaching? Do you at Swimback?
I do. We do. We always have on deck coaches, and I have been known to ask, like, hey, can you look at this freestyle because it feels funky? Or, hey, I'm trying to figure out this. Um, for example, when I first started back, I did not know that we could do a dolphin kick in our pullouts. So I went to the best breaststroker on our team and I said, hey, when do I do this? And how do I do it? And he showed me. And, I'm not one who's afraid to ask for feedback or help or, just criticism constructively.
Yeah.
So, and I also know myself well enough that I have a personal trainer that I go to because I am not going to go to the gym and lift weights after work by myself. So,
That's great. That's great.
yeah.
Well, so how has Swim Mac Masters shaped your swimming? And tell us a little bit about that because it sounds like it's a really great family and what makes it feel like a family.
Um, I've met some of my best friends at SwimMac. These are folks that I would do anything for. They would do anything for me. Like I said, we check in on each other all the time. Um, just recently I had, at my mom's funeral, I had basically an entire pew full of SwimMac family. Um, and that was really touching and really cool. Because it's a Saturday morning and they'd already been to swim practice and we're probably hungry. Um, I had one of my friends drive over from Georgia to attend, and she's Clemson grad and wore garnet to my mom's funeral, which was very touching. Um, and it's just, it's about the competition, but it's about the trips we go on to the competitions. Like going to swim meets is almost like going on a girls' trip or a team trip. Um, For example, my very first meet back was a short course meters meet at the University of South Carolina. And I was like, I'd only been swimming for 6 weeks. I was like, well, I know I'm not going to swim well because it's 6 weeks, but it's short course meters and I don't have any short course meters times. So I'm not going to get upset about my times. And, we had our swim act team there. We had a couple of all other USC alumni swim. And it was just like a big girls' trip. It was very fun. Um, we've been to different places, California, Texas, Virginia. And it's more, the competition is fun, but it's more about the memories made, like joking around in the stands or going out to dinner or, just messing around. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's great. That's really awesome.
Mhm.
So second to last question. So you're the chair of the North Carolina Masters swimming.
Yes.
What do you kind of hope to accomplish in that leadership role?
That is a good question. I'm still trying to figure this
Yeah,
out. I'm
that's
still trying
okay.
to figure this role out. Like mentioned before, USMS Masters Nationals are in Greensboro in 2026. Huge spotlight for North Carolina Masters swimming. I and my co-board members right now are working on just getting all of our teams engaged, more participation in our social media, more participation in local and postal events, because we really do want to shine bright when we host nationals next year. That's my main goal. My other goal is to, just listen to the membership, figure out what do they want from a board, um, promote our meets. We have a couple of big meets, but then we have some smaller meets that aren't as well attended. So I'd like to get that attendance up. We have an open water swim coming up that I don't know if a lot of people are doing. Side note, I do not swim open water, um, but I will support it all day long. Um, so yeah, those are just a couple of the goals I have, and just to learn more about USMS and um, how we can give back to the membership.
Okay, cool. So, last question before we do our sprinter round is what have we not covered or I've not asked you that you would like to share with our listeners, if anything? Doesn't have to be anything, but
I can't really think of anything. I mean, if if your listeners have any other questions, they can reach out to me because I'm an open book. So
okay.
I will talk to anybody about swimming all day long. So
And they can find you through the USMS emails on US Master Swimming, right?
yeah.
Yeah. All right. Are you ready for the sprinter round? It's just some fun
Yes.
questions. People
Not a
can,
sprinter. Let's go.
but it's supposed to be 1 or 2 word answers, just
Got it.
really quick.
Take your mark.
Favorite sandwich?
Turkey.
What do you own that you should throw out?
Clothes.
Scariest animal?
Raccoons.
Celebrity you would most like to meet?
Taylor.
Hardest swimming event in the pool?
For me, hardest swimming event. Okay, this is
Yeah,
way more than 2 words.
For you, Sarah.
That I swim or that I've never swum.
Well, maybe that you've attempted and failed. Yeah, just
I
don't
would-
overthink it. Don't overthink it.
I'm never doing a 200 fly.
Okay. I would agree with that one. Favorite movie?
Breakfast Club.
Favorite smell?
Smell?
Smell.
Chlorine?
Chlorine. Okay. Do you make your bed every morning?
No, because my husband's still in it when I get up.
Yeah. Kickboard or no kickboard?
Kickboard.
If you had to listen to one song for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Superman by REM.
Okay. Window or aisle?
Aisle.
5 adjectives to describe your life.
Busy. Active. In flux. Still figuring it out. And happy.
Nice. All right. Final question is, when you dive in the water, what word comes to mind?
Did my goggles stay on? Cold.
That's a good one. Cold is a good one. All right. Very good. Sarah, thank you so much for spending this time with me today. It was awesome to catch up with you. And
Thank you for the opportunity.
yes, awesome.
Thank you for listening to the Champions Mojo podcast. Did you enjoy the show? We'd be grateful if you would leave us a 5-star review on iTunes to help others find us. And we'd also love to hear from you. We're on all social media platforms, or you can reach us at championsmojo.com.